Hi, my name is Rob Scott. Welcome to Fundamental Shift. What I want to talk to you about today is the fastest way to change. As a life coach, I work with people and try and help them change, both in their business and in their personal life. And one of the things that I find really interesting, and I hope you do too, is that most of us think that we deal directly with reality. And in fact, psychology tells us that that's not true. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a diagram on the board here that's going to explain a little bit about how we generally deal with reality, and then I'm going to explain how we can make sense of it so that we can change absolutely as quickly as possible. Let me show you. An event happens out in the world. That might be your boss yelling at you, that might be coming home to see your wife, whatever it is, things happen. Basically, that comes into our reality this way, and then stuff happens. Our brain basically deals with it in some way, and I'll talk more about this stuff in a little while. That stuff basically makes an internal representation of that event. Okay? From this internal representation, we get our state. This is our internal state, and this is really our feeling. This is how we feel about things. This is whether we're happy about it, whether we're sad. This basically changes a couple things. This can change our body. If you've seen people who are unhappy, they're generally down and slumped and very sad. Happy people are usually more open and taller, happy to go face the world and do that. Our state also changes how we end up behaving. It changes our behavior in the world. Okay? And in turn, our behavior, to whatever degree it can, changes events. And why I say to whatever degree it can, it doesn't change tsunamis from coming and hitting us, but to whatever degree our behavior has an effect on the world, it changes the future events that we get. So this is the cycle of life, really. Events happen, we react to them, it creates a certain state, we behave a certain way, more events happen. This is how time goes by. Now, what I want to talk to you about is what occurs in this place called stuff in here. What's really interesting is we actually have a set of filters here, okay? And these filters do three things. They delete information, they distort information, and they generalize. Now, we delete information literally because there's too much going on at any one time, so our brain can't handle it. So we're actually called creatures of deletion. We walk around and we can only pay attention to what experts say about 7 to 10 things at a time. And so part of that might be a memory we're having, part of that might be what's going on in the world. Is this person dangerous? Am I attracted to that person? What's going on? Okay, so we're constantly letting a lot of reality go by. We don't relate directly to all of reality. We only relate to parts of it. Then we also generalize. What we do pay attention to, we throw it into a general category. We usually hang it on hooks in our mind on what we already know about. So we generalize things so that we can continue to learn and grow on past learnings. So we generalize. That generalization often can be incorrect. Hopefully, it's a correct generalization. Lastly, we distort. How do we distort things? Really, our values and beliefs are what distort things, and these are what are really important. Our values and beliefs, if we think about that, imagine how a Christian and a Muslim may view the exact same event. They may not relate or think about it in the same way. Their internal filter of their values and beliefs will affect how they feel about that event in a deep way. Now, when people come to me, I've got a lot written here on the board. I want to come back to this model of going around. When people come to me, a lot of people say, you know what, Rob, I want different events in my life. I want my wife to treat me differently. I'd like to get a raise. I'd like to get a new car. I want new events. And then some other people come to me and they say, I want to change my behavior. I need to show up at the gym more often. I need to get into work earlier. I need to care about my wife in a different way and behave differently. And what I say to both of those people is, no, you don't. You don't want new behavior, and you don't want new events in your life. necessarily. What we really want is we want to change our state. We want to change this guy right here. We want to feel better. Now, we believe that changing our behavior and getting new events is going to be how we end up feeling better. But what I'm here to tell you is, while there are ways to change here, and there are ways to change here that are important, the fastest way to change, without question, is changing our filters inside, changing the way we make up this internal representation of events. How do you think a Marine who's been battle tested would deal with being mugged versus a grandmother who's never been battle tested? How would they interpret that event? How would it change, right? We have a different way that we can interpret things depending on who we are and how we represent events in our mind. So what I want to say to you is that we need to develop awareness. When we can develop awareness of this cycle, of what's really going on for us, and what ultimately makes us unhappy is not necessarily the event, but how we interpret the event, that is the fastest way to change. As a coach, I go through with people and we look at historical events in their childhood, things like that, that have given them certain values and beliefs that make them not see the world in the healthiest way to them. I invite you to look into your own life to see how are you possibly interpreting the world in ways that aren't most supportive to you. I hope this talk has been helpful. If you're ever interested, please just shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to you about it sometime. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.